Hey, welcome back to our Profiles in Faith series. I uh, I want to move today from a couple days that we spent with Solomon for a couple days we spent with David to that of Solomon. As some of you know, others perhaps not, there is a soap opera-ish repetition that occurs in these stories of the Old Testament kings. The dramatic and fraught transition from Saul to David plays itself out again now in the book of First Kings as that kingship moves from David to Solomon. These stories sometimes read as a prototypical script straight out of a Hollywood pitch room, but nonetheless, Solomon does end up following David as king, and shortly after ascending to the throne, much as David did, that we looked at previously, Solomon prays to God. This is out of the third chapter of the book of First Kings. It tells us that Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father. Only he sacrificed and offered incense at the high places. The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the principal high place. Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings at the altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night and said, "Ask what I should give to you." And Solomon said, "You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant, my father David, because he walked before you in faithfulness, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne today. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in the place of my father David. Although I am only a little child, I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of the people whom you have chosen, a great people, so numerous they cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern between good and evil. For who can govern this, your great people?" So First Kings goes on at this point to share God's response. God is so impressed by Solomon's faithful humility, by the fact that Solomon sought wisdom and power over riches, that God grants Solomon not only the wisdom he prayed for, but also the power and the riches to follow. And that all unfolds in Solomon's reign. But what I really want to point to is that prayer that Solomon brought to God. As God celebrates in the verses that follow, Solomon doesn't come in this prayer to God seeking victory over his enemies or military might or wealth or even his own health and vitality. No, in the face of governing the people of God, Solomon humbles himself before God and says, "Please grant me the wisdom and understanding to do your will." It's that prayer that sets aside all personal wants and seeks the mind of God for what comes next, that I think could serve us all in the days and circumstances in which we live. But to put a face on this, I want to share something with you. Many of you know that our family has a bit of a love affair with Disney. So you knew at some point that would end up making its way into these reflections, and today is that day. Because a few weeks ago, our family sat down for the first time to watch the Disney movie Frozen 2, and in the middle of the movie, when one of the sisters has lost contact with the other and is trapped in a cave by herself, she sings a song with what I suggest are some pretty thought-provoking lyrics. And I'd like to share those lyrics with you today. It's really written as a poem. She says, I've seen dark before, but not like this. This is cold. This is empty. This is numb. The life I knew is over. The lights are out. Hello, darkness. I'm ready to succumb. I follow you around. I always have, but you've gone to a place I cannot find. This grief has a gravity. It pulls me down. But a tiny voice whispers in my mind, you are lost. Hope is gone, but you must go on and do the next right thing. Can there be a day beyond this night? I don't know anymore what is true. I can't find my direction. I'm all alone. The only star that guided me was you. How to rise from the floor when it's not you I'm rising for? Just do the next right thing. Take a step. Step again. It's all that I can do. The next right thing. I won't look too far ahead. It's too much for me to take, but break it down to this next breath. This next step. This next choice is one that I can make. So I'll walk through this night, stumbling blindly toward the light and do the next right thing. And with the dawn, what comes then when it's clear that everything will never be the same again? Then I'll make that choice to hear that voice and do the next right thing. The moment I heard that song, I was taken by that phrase, do the next right thing. I'm sure it's not a new phrase, but it's not one I had encountered before, and it's one that breathes such possibility and hope into our moments of daunting overwhelm. When there's darkness, when there's grief, when we are lost, and even a simple step seems so much to take, don't look too far ahead. Don't try to take it all in. Don't try to reach the end in one fell swoop. Just put your focus on doing the next right thing. I think that's a lesson we could all stand to hear now and then, and perhaps especially now. I don't think it's a stretch to say that while entirely distinct, we do share a bit in common with Solomon at the moment of that prayer. The circumstances, of course, are utterly different, but we are both in the face of what we feel to be monumental hurdles that stand before us, completely uncharted territory to navigate, and we come to God in prayer in the face of the heart-shuddering madness of it all. When Solomon came to prayer in that moment, however, he didn't ask for the might to conquer all. He didn't ask for the power to sustain his kingdom. He didn't ask for some resolution to the challenges he faced. He prayed for the wisdom to follow God's will, or if I can say it another way, he prayed for the ability to do the next right thing with God. It's easy in the face of all of this to be overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of it all. And we do come in prayer, as we noted before, with a certain degree of expectation and want. There is some peace, however. There is some true comfort that can stem from no longer trying to fix it all in the moment, and finding the faith to rest in God's Spirit to show us when, where, and how to simply take that one step, that one moment, to do the next right thing. As our closing prayer today, I actually want to share with you a prayer that was shared with me by email this morning by one of our church members. He had found it in one of his devotionals and passed it along to a few of us who are serving in churches, and I'd like to pass it to you now. So let's join together in prayer. O most gracious and loving God, purify our souls from everything that may hide you from us. Let us feel your vitalizing power flowing through us, building us up in strength and serenity. Strengthen us in spirit, in soul, and in body, that we may become living channels of your truth and love. Help us to realize that you are present with us at all times, so that we may, with perfect faith, entrust ourselves to your never-failing care. Amen. Blessings to you. As always, have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow.